Yes, you're in the right place. This is the Big Kickoff League of Ireland show, and it's our first show. And on today, joining us on the panel, we have Aaron Callahan, who was part of the Dublin County Consortium that failed to get into the league. We also have Bray Wanderers' Conor Clifford and Treaty United chairman Conn Murray. Now, we need you to do us a favour. We need you to click that subscribe button. It means nothing to you. It means everything to us. So you click that button. It helps us get the content out and also helps us promote the league in the best way possible. Go on, click it. Thanks very much and enjoy the show. Okay, welcome to the panel on the Big Kickoff League of Ireland show. We've got Nathan Doyle from the BigKickoff.com and, of course, Aaron Callahan, League of Ireland manager with Athlone, Bows, UCD and Longford. I got that right, Aaron. Nathan, the Presidential Cup, or President's Cup, was on the other night. 1-1 between Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk eventually ran out winners. It was a bit spicy though, wasn't it?
It was. This one is known as a glorified friendly, but it certainly wasn't a friendly. There was a lot of hard-hitting tackles. There was plenty of feisty moments between two sides that we'd imagine are going to be challenging for the Premier Division title this year. But yeah, plenty of good moments. And in fairness, the conditions for a football game were far from ideal. So we did get an entertaining affair out of two teams. I think the momentum swayed back and forth between both sides a little bit. I think you could have seen Shamrock Rovers maybe start at the better out of the first 10-15 minutes. And then Dundalk went on to dominate the rest of the first half, obviously with the Sonny Nasted goal separating the two sides at the break. And I'm sure we get on to Sonny Nasted. He had a bit of a back and forth game, didn't he? He was, had a good moment with the goal, and then he had a little bit of a... Well, I didn't think it was a moment of madness. In fairness, I thought it was the sending off was a little bit harsh for Sonny. But it wouldn't have been the ideal debut we would have been dreaming of, no.
No. Aaron, when you look at the first goal, and Nassestad's goal, it's a free header in the box. What way would a manager look at that I suppose, after the game and during the game, I suppose? Is it frustration to let someone have a free header like that? And how do you handle it afterwards?
Well, depending on what way he's setting up his team in relation to the defending aspects, some managers prefer to do a zonal marking where they just mark the zones and therefore, they're protecting the spaces within those zones, where other managers prefer to actually go man-to-man. And some managers actually have a little bit of both. Like personally, myself, it would be go man-to-man and you give players responsibility of who's marking who at each piece. And the one thing I know from experience that every manager hates, and particularly as a defender, is you don't like to concede from set pieces. And, that's one area where I suppose Rovers will have to tighten up on.
Yeah. Nathan, Liam Scales scored a goal. Oh, just an unbelievable goal, wasn't it? Everyone talking about Dennis Bergkamp straight away. Yeah, it was a fantastic goal.
Look, Liam will take them comparisons to Dennis Bergkamp, I'm sure. It was an absolute beauty, and in fairness, I'm not going to plug myself here. I played centre back myself in my playing days. I'm talking like I'm retired. I'm only a young lad, but I could have never done that. Probably why I never made it. But in fairness to Liam, yeah, it was a beautiful first touch to control the ball, beat the defender perfectly, and he left the keeper with nothing to do. And already he's after giving us an early goal contender for goal of the season, hasn't he? That's an absolute belter. You'll never do that again. He could have tried that 100 times. I'm sure that would have went high wide and not very handsome. But in fairness to Liam, he absolutely buried it when the moment called.
Aaron, you look at it was only after the game that I heard that Liam used to be a winger. I didn't know that he used to be a winger. You see a lot of fullbacks now who are converted wingers now in the modern game. If you're looking at players now and you're looking for a left full or left back, they call it now, are you looking for someone who can first of all defend, or are you looking for someone who can actually defend and attack?
Well, I think it comes down to what the team intentions are that Stephen has. And if he's going to play with a three at the back and he has win the team, then obviously he's going to be looking for a winger, a wing back who can get forward more times than he can defend. Obviously, you'll have aspects of the defensive side of it when they don't have the ball and when they're not in possession. So depending on what way you set your team up, whether you're playing in a 4-3-3 and your two fullbacks are getting wide and one of your holding midfield players is sitting in to to play as an extra defender, or you're starting off your system with a 3. So, the team intentions, the tactics that the managers will start out will dictate in terms of the individual intentions of the players within those team intentions. So, they've played a lot of 3 at the back, Shamrock Rovers, particularly last year. It looks as if they're probably going to continue in that vein. And to play that system, you need players that give you width on the pitch, but also have the ability to get balls into the box and to create goal-scoring opportunities for 2 attackers if they play 2 up front.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how Liam gets on in that position now this year. I'll stick with you, Aaron. The sending off, what did you make of the sending off? Was it a sending off, or is that a sending off now and wasn't a sending off back in our day?
Well, it wasn't a sending off back in our day, I can tell you that. No. And that's coming from experience, and that's coming from a lad who had his fair share of sending offs. I always used to say to the referee that there's a huge difference between a malicious tackle and a mistimed tackle. And I think sometimes the referees don't see that. I think they're too quick to take a yellow card out without actually thinking about the situation in the moment. I understand he has to make decisions based, on what he sees at that particular time. But, going forward, I'd like to see referees, just take a little bit more time, before, brandishing a yellow or red card or whatever it may be. Because sometimes what you see is not all what you get. Like, sometimes there can be other outside external factors, controlling those situations. So just be a little bit more patient, I would say, particularly with the first game of the season that it was in terms of a President's Cup. It was probably both teams' first real competitive game, bearing in mind the pre-season build-up that both of them have had, because they wouldn't have been playing teams of that standard. They would have been playing a lot of teams of lower level in the first division, etc. So it was the first really, really big competitive game, and I think the referees just have to take a little bit of take a deep breath sometimes before they make those decisions.
Yeah, Nathan, do you think that the sending off, maybe because it was so heated, and maybe because there was so many people, I suppose, in the referee's face when it happened, he just got caught up in it all?
I know the commentators even on Watch LOI did sort of pointed towards that the game at that stage was starting to get a little bit feisty. We're coming into a 10-minute period where tackles were flying, and like we said, the friendly aspect of the game was going out of it. I thought you could put it down to that, yeah. It's we always say that the players, being cock-cold in these type of games, but the referees as well have had a bit of time off too, So it's it could be definitely down to that, but and the players gathering around him certainly didn't help. But it was one of them. Look, it was a sliding tackle, and they're always a little bit dangerous. You can always see him probably a little bit worse. And like I said earlier, for me it wasn't a red card, and I think when you have players gathering around the referee, we seen Gavin McCann too. Chris McCann, going over, and he was a bit hostile towards some of the Dundalk players. That certainly didn't help things. No.
Welcome back, Aaron.
I'm back. I don't know what's wrong with this. I don't know what's wrong with these connections, but
don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. Listen, the Premier Division starts this week. Watch LOI is €59 for 60 plus games. It's a bargain, so anyone out there should go and get that. Now, one of the teams looking to get back into the Premier Division are Bray Wanderers, and I caught up with their new signing, Conor Clifford. Okay, Conor, welcome to the Big Kickoff League of Ireland show. You're actually the first guest on, so there's a milestone for you. You were talking to me just off air about your Twitter account, and I had a little stalk earlier on. You seem to be well into the boxing. Did you ever box before, or why so into the boxing?
I've always loved the boxing, ever since I was a kid. Obviously watched it with my dad and Chris Eubank and stuff like that. And then I went down to Ballyfermot, ticking over there. And then when I was in Southend, I used to go to the boxing there as well, in Southend, and do the training. I loved the training. Wasn't keen on getting punched in the face and sparring and that, so I preferred just to train, hitting the bag, so not getting hit. But it was. I always enjoyed it. Funny enough, I went to Thailand with my partner Laura. We were in PP Island, and we went to see the Muay Thai fight. And there was a fight going on, and at the end, where all the professionals, the ref gets around and asks people if they want to get in. And I always said, I'd love to experience it. And this was going, oh, sit there. And I said, I'm going to go for it. So I put my hand up. I went in with him. And he walks around the ring with you. He puts your arm up. He looked for someone in around my height, my weight. So no one put their hand up. So I was like, oh, yes, delighted. So lucky. So I sat down. About an hour later, he comes over. Some fella, a bit taller than me, a French fella. And he goes, he said he'll get in the ring with you. So I couldn't back down the ends because I've been giving it the big ones. So I had to go for it. So I said, Roy, I'll go for it. I'm putting on all the gear, the headgear and everything. And he's saying to me, do you fight? Do you do anything? And I'm trying to scare him, saying, yeah, I do a bit of boxing. I was trying to scare me. I'm a boxer. And I was like, oh, good luck.
Oh, no.
The second round, he hits you with a kick. Me now it starts bleeding. The ref jumps in. So I was like, get me out of here. It was an experience all the same, But, yeah.
So you stuck to the football. That's probably the most intelligent thing you did. What about Joshua Fury? That's supposed to be on this year. What do you reckon? Who do you think could come out on top on that?
Well, I'm a Fury fan. I've always, even the stuff he's gone through when he's fought his demons to come back. I think it definitely will happen. I think Joshua could knock him out, or Fury could outbox him, and you never know. He stuck it on Wilder when he never thought. Everyone thought he was going to bounce around, and the second fight he marched him down and stopped him. But I think if he does that against Joshua, he could get stopped himself. So I think he'd be more on his back foot and bouncing around, trying to outscore him and outpoint him. But I hope, just hope this. Can't wait to see. I hope it happens anyway.
Just hope it happens. Yeah, no, something I think everyone's looking forward to. They've been waiting for so long for this fight. So yeah, bit of luck now that happens this year. You're obviously just back from training. You've got the gear on. How's pre-season going for you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I'm friends. I've put in a lot of miles on the road myself, running, and obviously doing the 5Ks and 10Ks. But you can't beat it. Nothing's the same as the football train. It's complete. No. You think you're the ball zipping around, and that's when you get the football fitness. But it's been tough, but enjoyable all the same as well. It's a great group of lads out there.
I'm sure Bray Wonders are delighted to have you there.
Yeah.
What should the fans expect from you this year? What kind of Conor Clifford is preparing for the season this year?
I'm hungry more than ever. I'm feeling fit.
You're nearly 30, by the way, so you're creeping over that peak.
Yeah, but no, I still feel like I've a lot to give. I'm still hungry, and I'm looking to really enjoy myself, and I think I'll have a good season. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident, and hopefully I can chip in with a few goals and a few assists, and I'll do well.
Yeah. What about pre-season with because you're with Bray Wanderers now? It's first division side. Yeah. Does it differ in any way to where you were with Derry last year when you're in a Premier League side, or is it much and muchness?
No, I think the only difference is obviously where I'm training a little bit later. It's evening time, so it's a 6 o'clock start. So it's just preparing different on what times to eat and stuff like that. Like the first time, I ate a bit too close to training, and I could feel in the warm up. Oh, the stomach was a bit. I think I need to go to the toilet here. It was a bit. But so it's just about getting the right times to eat and what to eat and the light stuff, like just a bit of porridge before I go. Not having your dinner with your mom and your dad and not having your bit, So that bit was a bit caught me out at the start. But I think now I know what to be having before I go train. Now something light,
And it must be good to be back home because obviously up in Derry you're far from everyone, so it must make that a little bit more comfortable to be able to drive to training and get back home.
Yeah, that's the thing, where because when I went up there, I seen it as a challenge and have a go and go up. And because when I moved home to be home, being around my family. But up there, back in England again, I was living in a house up there, my home with another lad, and it's not like you can just jump in the car and drive home. It's 3 hours.
No, it's a bit of a spin.
I was up there, and obviously with COVID, like you couldn't go out really, go for a coffee, meet the lads. It was just finish training, straight to your room. I couldn't go and walk, couldn't go for a coffee, couldn't go to the cinema, couldn't do anything. So it was real. It wasn't great, up there. But it was a stop-start as well. So I was delighted to just finally get back here now and be around my family and the missus, and
Yeah. It's comfortable again. Did you? Last year was a strange year for Derry. Declan Devine even said that it was, especially after the break, that things didn't feel right. How do you assess Derry, I suppose, and even yourself up there last year?
Yeah, obviously it's a great club. I got on really well. Decky thought the staff was brilliant. It was hard to put one thing on it. I think it was just the starting. I think any time we got going, it'd be a break. Then we'd have a 2-week break, and then it was just we couldn't find any consistency. And there was a lot of lads from abroad, and I think a lot of lads were missing home, missing their family, and not being able to see their partners fly over to see them. They were just cooped up in a house and never really got that consistency in our play or off the play. So we weren't able to gel as a team. It was just like a group of individuals. Because normally off the pitch you can make bonds with players, you can go for coffee, you can chat, you can go for a game of snooker. It was just pitch, home, eat, get up, go sleep, like robots. There was nothing, So it was just a weird season, to be honest. Weird.
Yeah. But, one player, Walter Vergara up there. I was very fond of him. What's he like up close and personal?
Yeah, Walter's a great lad, and I know Walter from years ago when he was at Chelsea. He was young. He always had this big afro head of hair. He loves that head of hair. But yeah, Walter's a top player. He's a tricky winger. I think he can really do well in the game, and I think he'd be a massive asset to Sligo this year. And I think he'll do really well.
They've recruited very well. You played Derry City in pre-season, haven't you? How did you fare? As in, how did it feel out in the pitch? Sometimes you get a good feeling of how your team is when you play a team of maybe a higher level, which is obviously in the Premier Division. So how did you feel that you was coped with Derry?
Yeah, I thought we done well. I thought we were set up well. I thought it was an evenly matched game. There was a 0-0 draw. There wasn't too many massive chances in the game. They won or two, we won or two, but there was nothing in it. There was no. It wasn't a massive. Anyone looking in, I don't think would have thought we're a Division 1 team and they're the Premier team. To be honest, no disrespect. But I think them pre-season games, there's a lot of stop starting as well, and it's making a lot of changes and. People are just trying to find their feet, find their legs as well. But it was a good game to play and I enjoyed it.
How do you think, just looking back on you, because I did touch on you that you're getting close to 30, you're 29. I'm sure you don't want to keep going on about 30. But how has your game changed over your career so far?
Obviously, when I was younger, I was buzzing all over the place. That was kind of my problem when I went to England. They were saying you have to stay in your position. I was just like running all over the place, trying to get the ball off the keeper. And obviously, as you grow up, you learn your body and you learn your position a bit more. And you don't have to do stupid runs. I think now I know the role I play in midfield. I'm playing the whole midfield. I know where to be, and you just learning the game and using the head a bit more now as well. And I think that's helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, and you've popped up. It seems to be your trademark anyhow. You've popped up with at least a goal a season that's about 20, 25, 30 yards out. So is that something that you try to bring into your game, or is that just something that does happen now and again? You're more focused on that kind of sitting role?
I think I went through a phase when I was young, the youth Cup Chelsea, and I was practicing on it a lot. And I kind of went away from it a bit. I took it for granted. I thought I'm going to get it, and I stopped kind of practicing it. But last few years now, I've been really doing it away from here, even up in Selvage where we train. I'd go up and I'll be hitting it at the goal and getting on my feet, different types of finishes. And it's just all about confidence. A lot of the time, you need someone to just give you that ball in around that position, and it's a touch and a hit. It's not all games pan out that way. It doesn't always. You get the ball in the right position where you have that opportunity to have a strike. A lot of luck as well sometimes. But hopefully I can chip in with one or two this year.
Yeah, and of course, I have a little something here. We'll two of us have a little look at it here. This is Conor Clifford on Football Manager. Have you seen these? You must have seen these.
No, I haven't. No. This year.
Have you not? So this is the 2020. You haven't got the 2021 version. The 2020 version. And there, you're disappointed in.
Look at what are we looking here?
So you got your passing.
Yeah.
Passing 12. Penalty taking's nearly your best at 13. Have you ever taken a penalty?
Yeah, I scored 3 penalties last year, 2 in the one game. Chipped the keeper on the second.
Oh, I seen that. Yes, I did. I seen that. Yeah, that was a great finish. Yeah, yeah. He scored 2 in that game. Yeah, that's right. Natural fitness you have down as 13, stamina 12. So they're basically telling you get around. Bravery 13. Have you got? Are you up there with the Vinnie Jones?
I've known to put in a tackle. Yeah. But out in Europe as well, but my own player didn't help. Yeah, broken nose.
We won't count on that one too much there, Football Manager. I think if you're in a certain league, you're not going to get credited for that anyhow. So listen, you were with Limerick for a spell, and Treaty United obviously are in the league now this year, representing Limerick. So you have them in the first game of the season. How do you approach that game? Because it could be very easy to go into that game going, these have only got their team together. You know, they've got the pick of the last bunch of lads and take them for granted, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, definitely. I know the manager. Tommy was the manager when I went there, and he's a great man, and he was a really good coach as well. So he'll have his team set up, and they'll be fit and raring to go. I'm not too sure what type of squad they have there at the minute, but knowing Tommy as the manager, he'll have them well organised and well set up, and I don't think there'll be any easy games to be.
No, we talked to him on the podcast, on the Big Kickoff League of Ireland podcast. He was on a few weeks ago, just before they were announced, and he hadn't got a player at all. Yeah. But I think he has got the pick of the area around. So there's going to be some good players who maybe were playing in local level who are decent. Well, there are a few of the results haven't been too bad. So in the preseason, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, a game. I suppose everyone's expecting Bray to challenge now. The second last year. Unfortunate in the playoffs, I suppose. When you are talking to each other, when the manager's talking, are you just talking about promotion? Are you talking about game by game? How does he approach the season?
In fairness, no one's mentioned anything yet about promotion or anything like that. We're just obviously concentrating on getting fit, concentrating on these last few pre-season games, and I think just about trying to get into a rhythm and getting a run of games together. And I was getting a good start. Obviously, it's such a cliche thing to say, but it's important to go to a good start at home, your first game, and we'll just take from there, you know.
And what about the race for the top league? Dundalk, the President's Cup is on at the weekend. There's a bit of bite between Shamrock Rovers now and Dundalk. There's a bit of snarling going on before the league even starts, which is great for everyone. You've been with Dundalk. You know what the setup is like up there. They're very unknown now this year with a lot of the players that they brought in. Danny Mandrew gone to Shamrock Rovers, Jack Bourne out, McInnes out. So it's a bit of change there. What would you be thinking now if you had to put a few quid on some sort of championship race there? Who do you think is best equipped now to go on and win the league this year?
It's going to be difficult to say. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow. I can't wait to sit down now and watch it. We played Rovers last week, and they're very good and really good. They're brilliant last year, but Dundalk, they still have the core players there, the heart of the club, like the Shields and the Garts, and they be getting the new lads well up to speed and drilled into their heads what this game means tomorrow night, and telling them all about it. So I can't wait to see it. I've seen a few of the lads throwing a few shots at Rovers, saying the only one was an 18 game. They'd be different this year. But obviously you can't look past. Obviously the Rovers were brilliant last year, and I think Dundalk as well with the new players. It'd be interesting to see what the new foreign lads come in, and I'm sure it'll go down to the wire again. But I wouldn't write off Pats either this year. I think Stevie will have them really tuned in and ready to go this year. I think Pats could be competing this year as well.
That'd be an interesting one to see if they do, because unfortunately for them, they've been kind of they haven't been playing at the level that's being expected of them. So hopefully this year that does happen for them. Has there been any other clubs who've been kind of looking your way, maybe even over the course of your career, that maybe you looked at and didn't take, and maybe you wish you kind of did?
There's a few things that when I was younger, when I left Chelsea, I had a chance to go to a few clubs, and I had a agent at the time kind of chasing the money and advising me the wrong way, to be honest. And if I just listened to my dad and probably myself, things could have probably worked out a bit different, you know. But you live in your
that's music to his ears, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, you look at the new season. Who do you think? Obviously, you're fancying yourselves up there for the championship, for the first division to go and push on. Who do you think are going to be your main rivals there this year?
Well, I think Shells have signed well. They've brought in a few Derry lads, Ali and Bruno. Bruno, very good player in the midfielder. I think they'll be strong. They'll have a strong squad, and hopefully, the likes of us will be pushing them as well. UCD always have a good side, and there's some good young players there as well. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think Shells be fancying themselves at the minute, to be honest.
Okay, Aaron, Bray finished second last year. What will Conor Clifford bring to the team this year, do you think?
I think along with Paul Keegan, he'll give them that little bit more of experience that they probably lacked last year. They had an awful lot of players playing within the setup. I always feel that you need one or two experienced heads, particularly when you're going for a promotion push. And those experienced heads will calm the young players, because you've got some talented young players within the squad, and if you need to gel them with one or two experienced players, as I said. And I think the experience that Connor's had across the water and with the other clubs he's played in the League of Ireland, he'll bring in some bit of calmness and ability, because he's a good player to a good Bray squad. I think they've recruited very well this year, but I think it's going to be a very, very competitive first division.
Yeah, I think so too. Nathan, two clubs that went down are Cork City and Shelbourne. Shelbourne, you would feel, are looking to go straight back up. What about Cork City? Where do they sit?
I think they could be in and around the playoffs. He might just miss out. He might just land outside it. They've kept a couple of players that were with them last year, but I think we sort of felt he might have a lot of younger players in the squad this year, and that's sort of how it turned out to be. I think they might just be just 1 year behind. I think they probably next season, coming into the 2022 season, we might be looking at Cork City as potential returns to the Premier Division. I just feel at the moment it's just a lot of sides, like you said, Shelbourne, Galway, Athlone have been brilliant in the transfer market. Bray Wanderers. I just think there's too many sides ahead of them at the moment for them to realistically challenge for the title and to probably even realistically land in the playoffs this season.
Aaron, UCD are always a good side in these leagues, a strong side in the first division. How frustrating is it to be at a club that you have good potential? There's loads of positives about young players there, but you don't always have that continuity with being able to keep those players at the club.
Well, it's very difficult because the club has always provided Premiership clubs with a lot of guys coming out of the system. Every now and again you produce a very, very talented young team within the club. And within the space of 2 or 3 weeks after the season ends, the players are getting picked up by other clubs as well. So it's very difficult to get any continuity, but it's a great platform for young players to get an education as well as a football education.
Galway United were revitalised last year. What makes John Caulfield a good manager?
Well, I think one thing John has brought is he's brought that intensity and he's brought that organisation with him from the successful days he's had down in Cork over the last few years. He's an experienced man in terms of having played in the league for a long time, but he's also got loads of experience now from the managerial side of things. By all means, what you hear from the outside is that they're spending a good few pounds on players this year. They seem to want to go into a full-time basis, and they're well backed behind the scenes from some developers. So they're going to be they finished the season very strong. I think they're going to be up there with Shelbourne in terms of favourites within the league. And I think the fact that they've added one or two really good players to their squad, and I think they're looking overseas as well, bringing one or two players in from the UK and from beyond. They're going to be a very strong team, and with his organisation and his I suppose his experience in the league and his knowledge of the league, I think they're going to be, as I said to you, one of the favourites with Shelbourne, and they're going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They're definitely going to be up there. Nathan, Athlone added loads of players during the start of the pre-season, so they're going to be very interesting. And Cove just missed out on a playoff. Nathan, how do you feel that these two will fare out this year?
Yeah, I've talked about Athlone in length here. I haven't in the past couple of weeks. I've seemed to become a little bit of a Athlone fan. I think they've done fantastic business in the off-season. Like we said last year, that they really struggle defensively, and they bring in the likes of Killian Cantwell from Bray Wanderers, guys of that ilk, and Michael Schlineman in between the sticks. These sort of guys are going to benefit them at the back and make them a more compact unit at the back. But they've also added going forward, so I think they're more of a complete team this year than what we've seen last year, and I think they really will make it a good push for the playoffs. In terms of Cove, again, I think they'll be in a similar position as Cork City. They have a decent side, they've good players. They held onto good players last year, the likes of Charlie Lyons, who I thought was probably one of the best centre-halves in the first division last season. So keeping a hold of these guys is absolutely vital. But I just think, again, with the likes of Athlone, UCD being around there, Bray signing so well, I just think they might find it a little bit difficult this season to get themselves into the playoffs. Okay.
Aaron, you have Cabinteely, who faded badly last year, Wexford, who I suppose the only way is up for Wexford, and you've got Treaty United then, who are the new boys. How hard will it be for Treaty United, especially coming into the league at such a late stage, to make an impact?
Well, I was part of the consortium with Dublin County that we were trying to put the team into the league, and we were very, very disappointed that we didn't get the project over the line. We felt that 12 teams would have been really competitive in that league, and I think Shamrock Rovers B and ourselves, Dublin County, would have made it a very competitive league. But we were always of the illusion as well that if we had got a license at the date that was mentioned, it would have given us 3 weeks. At that stage, we hadn't signed one player. Yes, we were talking to players with a view that if we did get a license, we were going to, obviously sign some players. But we would have had a 3-week window to sign players. Never mind do a pre-season. So we would have been behind every other team by about 6 to 8 weeks, we reckoned. But the key to it at that time was for us to get a team on the pitch. Treaty will probably be a little bit more, I suppose, organised. The fact that a lot of players would have played for the previous Limerick Uniteds and teams that were playing down there. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think they had announced in the media that they had more or less got a license. They were told to sort of keep it quiet at the time. So I think they were planning a little bit longer than most teams. They sort of knew that they were going to get this license from somewhere. So I expect them to be competitive. I'd be surprised if they got up there competing. I'd say they'll probably be mid-table because, there's always some good players down in Limerick, and they'll probably look to Cork and Waterford and around them areas to get players in, with 1 or 2 from Dublin as well. So they'll be competitive, but I can't see them doing anything this year. I think it's just a bedding in period for them again, and next year you'll see them very soon.
Okay. Nathan, give us your top 2. Who's going to get promoted either through the automatic and the playoff place?
Well, similar to what Aaron said earlier, I think Shales and Galway would definitely be the 2 to challenge. And look, I've been harping on about Athlone for the past month and a half, it seems, so I might as well stick to my guns now and officially pick them to go up in the playoffs. Why not? Okay,
Aaron, you sticking with Shelbourne and Galway?
Yeah, I think I'll go with I'll go with Galway to win it and Shelbourne to go up. Athlone, like yourself, Nathan, I think Athlone, for the first time in a long time, we've actually spent a few pounds on a few players. It's one of those clubs that I always felt, having managed it as well, that they could be another Dundalk. The town is a really good supporters town. The fact that they've got the all-weather pitch now on the main stand, they were talking about putting it behind it initially, but the fact that it's on the main pitch now has given them a little bit more income in relation to renting the pitch out and also their own team using it. So it would be interesting to see how they did. They did a good run in the league and in the cup last year, as we know. In the league, not so good, but they have signed well. And if they're thereabouts, come the halfway stage, they might invest with 1 or 2 more players. So they could be the dark horse, as you say, Nathan. Yeah,
definitely.
We'll just finish off with Dublin County. Seems you brought it up, Baron. How impressive were they behind the scenes? Were they going to make an impact? A lot of people were talking about Sporting Fingal. What was your impression of them?
Well, as being part of the consortium, one of the areas that we were really looking into was that we weren't going to do a Sporting Fingal, i.e. we weren't going to be coming in and paying big players' wages. We wanted to put a foundation into the local community, obviously the Fingal area, along the same lines of Fingal in relation to, trying to attract supporters from that area, because there's a big gap between, I suppose, from Santi all the way up to Drogheda. There's a big gap there. I know Bows are on the north side and Shell's on the north side, but a little bit sort of further beyond that, like the supporters of both those clubs. So we felt that initially, if we could, get a stance within that community, rent out Mourne Stadium for a year or 2, and then look at the possibility of building our own little stadium somewhere in the Fingal County Council, obviously in partnership with Fingal, because we wanted to work with the local authority in relation to the development of the club. We had spoke about academies, setups, and linking in with the NDSL, if we could, the North Dublin Schoolboy League. So we had various different projects that we were going to research and get underway, but it was all relevant to the fact that we were going to get a license or we weren't. Now, we are a little bit disappointed that we didn't get the license this year, but we will be coming back to the table, hopefully, next year with a view of trying to go again.
Okay, well, the more clubs, the better. And obviously we need clubs who are stable. And we've had a big fluctuation, not only with new clubs, but with established clubs in the league. So the clubs that we can get in that are stable and are looking to promote Irish football and, of course, give that pathway through to young players. That's the biggest thing, which can only be welcome. Aaron, thanks very much. Nathan, thanks very much. We were talking to Chairman Conn Murray of Treaty United, the new boys. This is what he had to say. Okay, Conn, welcome to the Big Kickoff League of Ireland show. It's great to have Treaty in the League of Ireland. It's great not just for the Limerick area, it's not just good for the Midwest area, but it's great for the league as a whole, because the league needs clubs from all areas of the island. So how did that come about in the end, and did you have any problems, and was there a time that you thought it mightn't happen?
Well, I suppose we'll have to go back right this time last year when we attempted to get back into the league, and this part of the world, first of all, is very hungry for League of Ireland soccer, and it has an incredible tradition of being part and parcel of the football scene. So it was missed, and a number of people approached and said, look, could we get League of Ireland back into that? Now, I'll be perfectly honest, right, I know very little about it. I'm working with underage kids out at the small club in Sean, so this was a very big step in terms of understanding and getting moving forward. So we brought together a very experienced bunch of people, both football-wise and business-wise. And what we started off with was a hiccup. We called ourselves Limerick United. People know that at this stage. We found we couldn't do that. So we went back to a name that's synonymous with this part of the world, which is Treaty. And we also went back to the colours that we turned out in 1937, which are the candy stripes, the red and white. So we brought a bit of heritage and a lot of history and a very strong team, created a not-for-profit company. And our first entrance into the National League was our women's team and our under-17s. They had a great year. And in fairness, we had the semi-final of the FAI Cup. We were thrilled to have got that far, performed very well in the leagues. And that was our flagship. So we moved forward this year. We had always said our ambition very simply was we wanted to have opportunity for young people in the Midwest to actually perform at the highest level that they could. And that means getting into League of Ireland soccer. Yeah. And if you look at the junior scene, and I'm sure you're far more familiar than I am, every cup that could be won has been won in this part of the country. Yeah. So how is that talent going to get its exposure? And it can only be done through the academy, through a senior team, both on men's and women's. So that was the ambition, right? And we pushed it forward this year, went through the licensing process with the FAI, a long process, arduous, challenging. But having said that, and I've said this a few times now, right at this stage, I now understand why it is the way it is. Because if you can't get your act together, you shouldn't be in there. And therefore, we got through the hurdles, and they were challenging. I won't say otherwise, they were very challenging. And we've got our squad together now, and the season, pre-season has begun. So it's been a journey of over 12 months, to be perfectly honest. And were there times we thought we wouldn't make it? There probably were, being perfectly honest. And knowing the hill that was to be climbed, that got tougher before Christmas. But having said that, I have an extraordinarily determined bunch of people around me, and that's what got us to where we are today.
Now I put a little pause there because I made a mess of this. Would you believe? I have the lights here. I've got to put the bloody yolks on. I was wondering I couldn't see myself. So I'll definitely cut that bit out. We had Tommy Barrett on with us on the League of Ireland podcast that we do. And of course, it was at a stage where he hadn't got a player. So he didn't even know what he had to work with. We did have a discussion about underage teams, so your 13s, 15s, 17s, and 19s, and then we did discuss. It went deeper than that, but we did discuss about how you would connect up with the local football team. So, what's the vision for around the area to link up with those clubs?
Well, what we've done, Roy, is we've written to all the leagues at this stage, announcing ourselves, I suppose, is the best way once we had that, and looking for permission to approach the various clubs in order to discuss the opportunity for young players. And we've had a very good response to that. And as of last Friday, we formally got invited by the FAI to actually enter into the underage clubs. And so we sent out our expressions of interest over the weekend. Already there has been a reaction to that, which is great to see. And because it's a difficult time in terms of not being able to get young players out, can't get trials, we have to work very closely with the clubs in terms of getting from them a clear understanding who they think, their coaches think, are ready for that next step. Because we're very conscious here that we are complementary to the club system and the league system. We are not competitors here. And this is about giving those young people that opportunity to go to that next phase. And it can be devastating for a small club to lose 2 or 3 of its key players. And I know that, having operated at a small level, when you see that happening, you have to regroup and get going. And what's very important as well is that those young people don't get lost in the system subsequently, that they can actually go back to that club if it doesn't work out. And let's be honest, it doesn't work out for everybody. So there has to be some process that enables us to keep that flow of young people coming back and forward, because it mightn't be ready this year, but in a year's time or 2 years' time, that person might be ready for the next level. So give them that shot and make sure they have a crack at it. And that's the philosophy that we're trying to bring to bear. So, and there's a close connection here between obviously the senior team and Jerry Moran on the academy. And then Dave Mahidi, whom you're probably familiar with, Dave, who has a long history of football and driving the UL sporting side, he's now effectively director of football. So it's his job to oversee this into the future, to make sure we have a consistency of approach, that our relationship with the leagues and the clubs is something that is going to work. Will there be difficult days ahead? I don't doubt that there will be the odd one. But having said that, we'll do everything that we can to make it work.
And we'll use, because again, I touched on it with Tommy, and it was new for him at that stage. Will you work with the clubs at the youngest of ages, as in your 7s, 8s, and 9s? That's where they normally build up your technical ability and all. Will there be an inclusion of your coaches going in to help, or that opportunity for you to help those clubs with that sort of technical sort of process?
Yeah, and obviously we would love to do that, and it's going to take a little bit of time, right, to get ourselves structured to the point where we can do that. But you're absolutely right. At the youngest age possible, young people should get that opportunity to get access to the coaching. What's probably more important is that the coaches and the clubs are given an opportunity to experience the qualified coaches coming in. And I know that's something that I enjoyed when we were with our club, Sean Trad, where the lads came in from the RDOs and actually demonstrated to us as coaches what we should be doing to help these young kids. So if we got the coaching system working, and everybody's volunteers here, that's the reality of it. So it's not just the young people, it's also the coaches of the clubs. They need exposure, and that kind of relationship, I think, is very healthy, and it's one that hopefully we can work on and deliver on.
Yeah, Tommy is well known down around that area. Was he a shoe-in, or did you have a couple of other names? You might have to be careful with this question.
Of course I do. Of course I thought Jurgen Klopp might be available at one stage there now, but it looks like he's covered a little bit. And no, we had a competition. We had a process. Is Tommy well known? Absolutely. And has he been faithful to Limerick and Midwest football, and has a proven track record? So to be perfectly honest, we were delighted that Tommy, first of all, declared an interest, came through the process, and is leading the troops now under incredible pressure. In fairness, there's not too many managers get 4 days to put a team together, but he has done it and has put a very good squad together.
No, he has. In fairness to him, he had the, I suppose, the last picking. So anything he does this year is going to be a good foundation. How does Treaty United make sure? We all know what happened with Limerick. How do they make sure that history doesn't repeat itself again?
Well, I think every League of Ireland club has struggled at some stage. I mean, having travelled around the country, I mean, I know the days when Dundalk were challenged, when Drogheda were challenged, Waterford, you know. So, as I said, I do recognise that this is an enormous undertaking. So, how do we avoid it? What we attempted to do here, right, is create for the first time a not-for-profit approach, which is based in community support. And that was our reach out over this weekend to the fans and the supports to come on board. And that will enable us, providing we're careful. We're not doing anything overnight here. This is not by any stretch a sprint. It's a 5-year program. Tommy will have time to build his squad, build his team, and build the support. And that's what's critically important. Now, will we survive without that support? No, and no club does. So everybody has to try and get behind us corporately and community-wise and agency-wise. And this is good for the Midwest. It's good to have us up at this level, because I've always been a believer. I came from the public service and spent my last 8-9 years in Limerick here. And what we wanted to do, as always, was get a different image of this part of the world out there. And we've done that in various different ways. And for me, when I see Limerick winning All-Irelands, when I see Munster winning potentially Pro 14s or Heineken Cups, soccer should be up there with that at this level, because it always was. And Limerick has an enormous tradition of this. So we're tapping into that culture, that heritage, and that's what I believe will bring us into the future, right? After that, as I say, we will take every step at a time.
Great. You have a membership scheme that you are calling out to locals. I suppose your locals are Kerry, Limerick, all surrounding areas. So I'll pop that up there, actually. Your membership deal you have there. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I think, first of all, I think when the FAI brought the free streaming on board, I think that was an enormous opportunity. And we had the choice of charging and so on, but we felt this could be part and parcel of the offering that we can put out there to people. So what we will be giving people is direct access to us. As it says, exclusive behind the scenes. You'll be able to have a go at me, have a go at Tommy and his backroom team, especially Tommy and his backroom team. Okay, so that's the message.
That might be very appealing.
You've got monthly newsletters. We have an introductory welcome pack which we're getting out there, and a commitment that everything we receive goes back into football development and into our club. And I think that's a very important message that we're trying to get out there to our young people and our senior lads, that look, we are about the football here. And that's why you won't be talking to me too often, you'll be talking to Tommy. It is about the football. But it's a great offer. It's a fabulous opportunity for families and individuals. We've already had contact, right, from the States, from the UK, from Europe, people actually longing to I suppose, to have that connection back home. The diaspora are reaching back home here. And with Paddy's Week coming, I hope they all start reaching back and buy the jerseys.
I hope so. And I think it should be the same all over the League of Ireland. It kind of leads into my next question. Do you feel that the League of Ireland clubs should be more united or should work better together to try and get the actual league brand's name out there, as in the marketing side of the league? It doesn't seem to be, I suppose, as strong as it could be. Is there talk behind the scenes of working together? Are you working together? What way does that work?
You're probably asking the one person who probably doesn't know, okay? Because I'm very new on the scene here, and my concentration and the board's concentration has been getting us into the league. Now, we have relations with other leagues. We've been in contact with them, and to be honest, they've been extraordinarily supportive. Like I found so far nothing but collegiality in that regard. Now, how that translates itself into a stronger brand product, that's something I couldn't answer at this stage. But I would agree with you that obviously it is important to continually to actually work together, to be cohesive, competitive on the pitch. But it is about getting the wider support for League of Ireland Soccer, because it does need it. There's no doubt about that. And every sport has its troughs and its waves. And I think this one has an opportunity to drive much further at the moment. I've liked what the FA have done at national level. I can see what they're attempting to do. It's getting very well structured. So my relationship there has been quite strong. Obviously trying to get the licensing across the table. And I hope now, not just between the leagues and the clubs here, but also the opportunity to meet with counterparts across the country and understand what it is they have as problems, because I haven't seen them yet, right? And that's being honest. So I have to understand just what the real challenges are out there, other than just getting a team on the pitch.
Yeah, and I see it as well. Like, you look at Shamrock Rovers have a fantastic stadium up there. If they all the teams can work together to get the facilities up in all the grounds, say look at Finn Harps, for example, if they could get their stadium up and going, it's going to lead to a better brand for people to want to get out and look at these games a hell of a lot more.
I have to have a quality experience. And that's part and parcel is that the day you went to the grounds. I think we've all gone across the water to watch matches at different times and had that opportunity. And the quality of what you walk into, you go to see it beforehand and so on. So again, from my previous life in the background, I've always believed that the local authority system can be a very strong player here in working with the development of infrastructure right across the board. I mean, internationally, municipal stadiums have worked. It is working to a point in Dublin, and I think that's something that needs to be looked at across the country, so that we get a consistency of our approach, regardless of the challenges that individual clubs might make. So at least our standards in terms of infrastructure will always be constant. So I think there is something that should be considered, quite honestly, at national level, and that level of integration with local politics and local councils.
Yeah, I was again talking to Tommy. I said it's very hard to set goals for a year when you're just stepping into a league. What's success though for Treaty United at the end of this season? Not just on the pitch, but off it.
Well, success will be a year sustainably financially. That's
the big one.
Sitting around the table, making sure that everybody is paid and everything is taken care of, that our players get through a safe year, and quite honestly, that we build the loyalty, that they want to come back to us next year, that we're a club that people will actually want to be at, so that when we start looking for players, it won't be who is Treaty and say, well, I'd like to consider Treaty. Like, that for me would be an enormous step forward. On the pitch, I expect our lads to be competitive. I really do. And I've already seen the flavour, and that's only after a couple of weeks of being together. These lads haven't had the chance to gel in any sense. And Tommy, it's going to take time to get what is going to be his best first 11 out there at any particular point in time. So if I set targets, it'll kill him altogether now. I just want us to be competitive. I want people to know that you come to the Markets Field, you are not going to have an easy game come hell or high water. And that's really what the message should be going out there. And I should say, right, the Markets Field and the LEDP and Niall Callan, the chief executive there, have been hugely helpful to us in terms of getting us back to what I think is one of the best quality grounds in the country. And that's the infrastructure that I'd be looking at and say, where can we bring it to? Shouldn't it be the Mecca for this part of the country? And I believe it can be.
Yeah, something for the kids down there to focus on, look at, and that's their goal, to their first stepping stone, maybe. So,
Exactly.
listen, Con, it's been a pleasure talking to you. No doubt I'll talk to you throughout the year. All the best this year, and I'm delighted to see Treaty in the league.
Looking forward to it, and thanks a million for giving us the opportunity. We'll talk soon.
And that was Club Chairman Conn Murray, and it'll be very interesting to see the progress made by Treaty this year. Now, that's it for us this week. Our shows will go out every week, so keep an eye out for us on YouTube and every other bit of our social media, and of course, thebigkickoff.com. We'll be doing a live stream on Friday night after the game, so join us then for any discussion and debate on the opening day talking points. See you then.